Hello， 大家好，大家周一晚上好。好，那我们今天的直播呢，就要正式开始了。首先呢，再次的给大家进行一个简单的自我介绍。那我叫米娅，是 FBIF 策划部的成员。今天呢，我们的主题呢也是全球经济展望。我们非常高兴今天邀请到的是来自经济学人智库的非常有经验的2位伙伴。那首先呢，我们今天有邀请到Ying。Ying 呢是经济学人智库旗下管理咨询团队的副总裁，也是拥有非常丰富的管理咨询的经验。那也很擅长去观察全球格局的走势与管理应对。那我们也有邀请到我们的 Mr. Ghosh 先生。Mr. Ghosh 呢，在美国获得 MIT 工程学硕士以及 MBA 学位之后呢，留在美国，也成功应聘在麦肯锡，并做到合伙人的角色。那后来呢，是独自创立了自己的战略与政策的咨询公司。Mr. Ghosh 先生一直活跃在美国管理咨询业的一个前沿，那也是非常擅长关注全球的格局走势与管理应对。同时呢，现在 Mr. Ghosh 先生也在美国塔夫兹大学是担任全球化与跨国公司战略领域相关课程的兼职教授。那首先呢，我们还是会为大家解答一下大家的疑问。那今天的演讲部分呢，其实Ghosh先生是英文的一个分享。那大家也不用过度担心，在Ghosh先生进行分享结束之后，Ying会针对Ghosh先生的内容做一个简短的一个中文的一个总结，所以大家不用担心，如果消化不掉Ghosh先生分享的内容，我们会有中文部分的解答的。那首先呢，我们还是首先要邀请到Ying上线。Ying也会简单再次给我们介绍一下这次的内容，然后我们再去邀请到Ghosh先生。好，那我们首先欢迎Ying上线。
感谢你的介绍大家晚上好我和Ghosh博士今天非常高兴能收到 FBIF 的邀请，今天以这种形式在这里和大家交流一下关于后疫情时代的一些想法。那像米娅刚才所说，我们今天的内容可能以2部分进行，先以博士的内容为开始Ghosh博士会从全球的角度阐释一下疫情对经济和企业的一些影响。那Ghosh博士他让我跟大家抱歉一下，他的中文不是很好，所以没有办法用中文给大家演讲他的这一部分，所以他会用英文演讲。那我如米娅刚才所说，会在重要的部分用中文再给大家补充一些。但我个人本人你们应该也听出来了，我的工作中文也不是特别的专业，也不是特别的好，所以到时候如果有翻译不到位或者翻译卡顿的地方，还请大家到时候能够多多包涵。在Ghosh博士演讲的基础上呢，我会引申到疫情对于中国企业的影响和意义，借这个机会和大家讨论一下目前我们自己作为咨询师，还有我们的客户最近非常关注的一些国内市场的问题，希望对大家有小小的帮助和启发当然在座的各位都是这个行业的领头人和专家，所以我们今天也是抱着学习的态度来和大家讨论。好，那我就先把这个话筒转给Ghosh博士。Dr. Ghosh, floor is yours.
Well, good evening to all of you from Boston. It is a very, very special day in Boston. It is what we call the Memorial Day, but it is in memory of the people who lost their lives because of COVID. Also, I want it to be a memorial event today, this evening, for you, because this will hopefully launch a new chapter in the history of humanity. So first, I'd like to thank all of you for giving me the opportunity to present some of the thoughts as to how the global society would shape in the future as we respond to a very serious challenge that we are faced with, which we call the COVID-19 challenge. But we have come to a point where we have to think of how we, at the individual level, in your company level, as well as in your community level, we can all respond in a strategic fashion so that we could create a new world which the next generation would be very proud to engage with. With that, I would like to move on to I think my screen is still. Okay, so my screen is not moving.
I can move, Partha.
But that will be difficult. Just see whether it's passed on to me or not.
It is.
It's passed?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So essentially today I would like to cover 5 fundamental questions which I think is facing all of us across the world. First, how serious is the COVID-19 pandemic? And I feel it's very serious. In fact, if we don't manage it right, we could face a very serious challenge, which I'm calling Armageddon. Then the second question that comes to my mind, at a philosophical level, how must we rise to the challenge? And there again, I do believe if we can define the essential logic right, without any egos, and can coordinate our activities across the world right, we could create a very enlightened civilization. So it's a great opportunity for all of us to be able to play that role so that 50 years from now, 100 years from now, people would say that we responded to this challenge gracefully and meaningfully. The third question, obviously triggered by COVID-19, as new behaviors, as new consumer preferences shape, how could we create new economic constructs? That's the third question I would like to answer. Then the more important question would be, given all those opportunities and the challenges ahead, how must organizations, and I mean corporate organization, government organization, must adjust to prepare for the post-COVID-19 world? And finally, how must we manage multiple points of inflection? And do we have the courage, that's a big question, to go through these multiple points of inflection? So those are the 5 fundamental questions that I would like to explore with you this evening. And indeed, I would look forward to listening to your questions towards the end. But before I go to the end, Ying would be talking about these questions in the context of China. See this. Somehow this is not moving smoothly. So the challenge we see today is very serious. In fact, I would like to dedicate this particular presentation, the discussion that we'll have this evening, to all the people, the 5.5 million people close to have suffered the COVID-19 cases. And as you know, about 350,000 people have lost their lives across the world. And particularly in the US, the challenge has been even more serious, where, again, the slides are not moving, is about 1.7 million people in the US have been affected, and close to about 100,000 have died. So let's dedicate this particular discussion, this presentation, in their honor, so that we could indeed shape a new world that we look up to, that we want to create. So when I look at the world ahead, the COVID-19 driven uncertainties are indeed great. But to deal with that with a positive mindset, I think what we have to keep in mind is both the macroeconomic world as well as the microeconomic world. And in doing so, instead of looking at what are the negatives that we are trying to solve, how to create likely positive outcomes, both at the micro and macroeconomic world. That is, I think, is the challenge, and that would be the spirit with which I would unfold the discussion this evening. Ying, I'm really having difficulty managing the slides. So the first point would be to understand how dangerous the coronavirus pandemic be like, and in the process, how must we get prepared to deal with it. So when you look at this exhibit, this is a very important exhibit. Over time, we are looked from all the way from 1900s till today. The two axes, the x-axis is about the global trade as a percentage of GDP, and the y-axis is about population density, which is number of people per square kilometers. Now, as you would suspect, if you look at 1901, the world was much smaller. It was less connected. The percentage of GDP of global trade was about 17%, and the population density was just about 10 people per square meter. So we were less connected, and we were living in a world which was significantly less dense. But as you could see, over time, we have moved up and up and up. And today we are living in a world which is significantly more connected. At the same time, the population density has increased. So any outbreak of the biological in nature, whether it's virus-driven or whether of any other kind, could very quickly spread today than perhaps 100 years ago, largely because we are more connected and the population density of the world is significantly higher. Now, if you look at the way the problems have emerged over the last literally 4 or 5 months, it is shameful that in a country like United States, the number of cases have increased very rapidly. As I mentioned, right now it is close to almost 1.5 million cases. But, if we don't manage it right, close to 6 million people could get affected very quickly. So obviously we are meeting at a time when we have to be extremely smart, extremely intelligent, extremely surgical as to how we deal with the problem that we are faced today. Okay. So when you look at, because of this problem, the number of people that is getting affected who are losing their job, that is also becoming a significant problem. So what we are looking at, 2 lines. This is the red line, which is because of the coronavirus, as the close down occurs, what percentage of the people would be affected in terms of not being able to go to work? Now, keeping in mind that 60% of the people are extremely poor. So they live literally from day to day, hour to hour. So if this number, particularly if you look at the blue line, which is the global pandemic, effect of the global pandemic on the global population, it is as high as close to 90%. So as you could see, the problem is serious. It is not only solving the problem of the virus, but as we are trying to solve the problem of the virus, we are creating a problem on unemployment where the poverty could significantly increase very rapidly. So how should we respond to this virus? That's the big question. And first, I think I would like to give you a little bit of a feeling. This is one of those classic cases where on one side, we have to be extremely local. This community by community, the approach has to be different. And so we have to think local, we have to act local, And as you could see right side, what does it really mean? We have to understand the local demography. We have to accordingly develop the regulatory policies, accordingly take the right kind of measures so that we could solve the problem at the local level. But to do so effectively, we can only be very as powerful as we could leverage the global knowledge, how in different parts of the world the same problems are being solved, what are the best practices that we could migrate. And that could, on one side, could be knowledge transfer, on the other side, travel restriction, trade restrictions. How do we coordinate all that so that we do not disturb the game plan that has evolved over the last 30, 40 years while dealing with the problem in an elegant fashion? And then, of course, how to look at the problem from a holistic perspective. That is it just a coronavirus problem that we are solving, or there are some fundamental issues of healthcare system, fundamental issues of the financial and economic systems of the world? Are there fundamental questions about how much capitalism could solve such problems, or how much of socialism, or do we need a new ism? So as you could see, the basic point I might want to make here, that the virus has woken us up. On one side, we are saying we have to be extremely local. We have to work with high resolution mechanics to deal with the problem, both to deal with the virus as well as the economic challenges in various demographies. But yet we have to be extremely global. We have to coordinate the global knowledge, global understanding of the problem, so that both globally and locally we can solve this problem. So when I look at this picture, this is a very important picture where we are looking at the development of the world from 1950 till 2018 on two axes. The x-axis is the degree of globalization, and the y-axis is degree of liberalization. Now, from 1950 in general, it is not China, it is not United States, it's not Brazil, Russia, or India. But if we look at generally, 1950, the overall world was significantly less global, and the degree of government control was significantly higher all over the world, including the United States. There were a lot of state-owned enterprises like the telecommunication, the water management, etc. But over time, the world has moved along this curve, and this is where we were just before the coronavirus occurred. Significantly more liberal, like in China, people talk about socialistic capitalism or free market capitalism or state-owned capitalism, whatever be the term. As you know, in the Eastern Europe, we have moved towards liberated markets. And of course, because of increasing trade, we are highly globalized. But what is happening, which is what I'm most worried about, is that the responses in the last, I would say in 3 months or so, last 4 months, has been extremely insular, very nationalistic. And that's where all the progress that we have made through this period, most probably in 3 to 4 months' time, as we entered the second quarter of 2020, we are way down. And I'm afraid if we cannot change from the approach that we have taken, we could reach a point which is go down as far as where we were in 1950, maybe even worse, because the momentum is working against us. So this is the biggest danger I see of the coronavirus 19, apart from many, many people that we are losing every day, apart from the economic challenges people are dealing with all over the world. The biggest problem is that the way the humanity was coming together in name of globalization and liberalization, we could take several steps back, and this momentum could take us hundreds years backward. And that's what I'm calling the Armageddon. And the challenge is, how do we get out of this Armageddon? Ying, would you like to explain this?
对，我给大家补充一下，就这张图， Ghosh 博士说是非常重要的，在横轴上代表的是全球化的程度，在纵轴上代表的是自由化的程度。那Ghosh博士说最令人担心的是，就是说在这次疫情中看到非常多政府的对疫情的处理方法都是相当inward looking， 就是看着自己都是民粹主义也不停的抬头，所以在这个短短的几个月中，如果我们处理的不好，不仅在自由化的程度上会后退，在全球化的程度上，我们也可能倒退50年甚至100年。所以这个就是他所描述的有可能出现的末日场景。Dr. Ghosh.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, slide I cannot move is a bit sad. So when you look at what are the strategic implications of all this, it is quite serious. And this is happening because governments, as you know, are becoming significantly more inward-looking. At least I can speak for the United States and some of the countries in Europe. Companies and businesses have moved into survival mode. They're more worried about the disruption of the global supply chain. And generally, if you look at people, instead of thinking on the hope beyond the COVID-19, people are in a state of hopelessness, despair. So there's a rising degree of negative energy. So as you could see, if these three things continue for another 3 months, if this spirit continues for another 3 months, we would rapidly get into this space. And that's what the presentation is focused on. How do we avoid this journey? In fact, how do we retract backwards to create a world that, as we solve this problem of COVID-19, we could create a significantly more enlightened humanity? So I think the point I want to make is that we are at a very critical point. We are right here, right here. The question is, could we create a path, which is this green dotted line, or we are just seeing the very early stage of an explosive growth of this problem? And unfortunately, the point I'm taking, unless we take a fresh approach where we can bring together a global coordination of policies, of understanding, of knowledge, on how we solve the problem, this problem is going to increase, and it's not very unlikely that we could very much follow the orange line, where particularly when the problem spreads to south, by which I mean the poorer countries of the world, like in South Asia, like Africa, like South America. Already the problems in Brazil and India are becoming very, very serious. And these are the very early stages. So indeed, we are at a very critical point, and I'm so glad that we are having this discussion at a point where if we really come together, we can make a difference. On the other side, if we just sit back and hope the world would change on its own, then it could very well be the orange line that we have to pursue, which is obviously extremely dangerous. So just look at the nature of the problem. If you look at it, we were January 31st, only about 4.5 months back, we only had 12,000 people affected by coronavirus, only 12,000. In 4.5 months, we pursued this journey. The number is 5.5 million. In fact, I was looking at the number this morning. The latest number that I have is 5,429,000, which is close to what I wrote down yesterday, 5.5 million. And this is just this point. Who knows what this number would be if we really go on this path? And I hope we really could avoid the orange line and find this blue line. So the rest of the presentation would be focused on how do we ensure the spread is contained while creating a new economic buoyancy. So I'm looking at the problem of COVID-19 as not a problem isolated from economic development. The way I'm positioning this problem, as we solve this COVID-19 problem, how we could create a new economic buoyancy at the same time. It's non-sequential. It is simultaneously we address this problem. Ying. Okay. So that leads to the next point, which is, given the challenge, time has come that we keep our egos outside, whether we are talking about political leaders, business leaders, individuals, wherever we are, and develop a global coordinated approach, and in the process shape the essential logic of what might be the COVID-19 related world in the future. And in the process, how do we create an enlightened civilization? So the next few slides will be talking about some of the thoughts that we could pursue. So what you're looking at is a very interesting exhibit, is a historic view of how the global trade as a percentage of GDP has developed. As we discussed earlier, it has grown very rapidly, particularly post Second World War. See, from the 1945, it really took off in a big way. And these are some spots when we had faced problems regarding virus, like you are familiar with Spanish flu, which occurred largely in the United States, but spread in Europe. Then we had the Hong Kong flu. Then we had the SARS. Then we had the swine flu in Mexico, MERS in South Korea. And now we are talking about COVID-19, which is there's no one epicenter, there's multiple epicenters of this problem. Started maybe with China, now it's the United States, Italy, Spain. It is all over the world. So the size of the problem has continuously increased. And partly because the point we made earlier, we are significantly more connected. At the same time, the density of population has increased over time. Now, as a result, as you know very well, the economy has taken a fantastic dip. This is the United States GDP growth, which has been steady between 2.5, I would say 4 to 2.5 since the financial crisis, which occurred in 2008, 2009. But in the last quarter, which is the first quarter of 2020, it took a huge dip. In fact, the number now is almost close to 14%. This is on May 2nd. Now the number is about 14% dip, and that's dangerous. And equally strong is the world global picture. You know about China. China is the first time in the last 40 years of history has reported negative growth, but it is true all over the world. So obviously we have entered a point where we have to think significantly more creatively as we solve the COVID-19 problem. Now, in the process, one thing that we do not understand, the governments are spending a lot of money basically to cover the unemployment, to help the companies stay afloat. But in the process, between these few countries, we do not know many other countries, but we are looking at the top 10 countries of the world. In the last 3 months, we have spent about $10 trillion. In fact, it may be a bit more, it may be closer to $12 trillion in the last 10 months. Now, that is extremely dangerous because this is coming from the government, when the government is earning significantly less money because none of us are working, there's a lot of close down, so no taxes, but on the other side, $10 trillion of debt has accumulated. So we are quickly entering what I would call the red zone. And obviously the red zone is significantly lower for the lower income countries. This is advanced countries where if you go above 100% of debt as a percent of GDP is dangerous. But for poorer countries, maybe even going above 50% is significantly dangerous. So obviously, very quickly, we are moving into the red zone, which, if not strategically handled, could lead to serious financial and economic problems in the future. So as you could see, the problem of the COVID-19 and the problem of economic policies and the global coordination, they're extremely connected together. And if we do not deal with it in the right way, it could lead to some serious problems. Now, what is important to realize is this chart, and this is what worries me the most, But what you're looking at on the x-axis is the cumulative population of the world. Like this width is the population of China, this width is the population of India, this is the width is the population of the United States, and the height is the GDP per capita. So obviously the countries on the right are the rich countries. Normally they are smaller countries, and this is the curve, which is very, very sharp. But interestingly enough, if you look at the COVID-19 problem, it has been largely concentrated so far in the richer population. But when it shifts towards this direction, Bangladesh, Vietnam, India, Nigeria, Philippines, South Africa, Colombia, we will be looking at a very different picture. So this is what I think we have to avoid, and to ensure the vulnerable population is not really affected. Because keep in mind, the practicing what we call physical distancing is extremely difficult when people, as you could see, this is the state of the people, which is about, I would say, 60% of the global population. This is how they live. Now, when the virus spreads here, it is very, very easy to see that we will end up following the orange curve as opposed to controlling the curve down if we can create this desirable path. So this angle is what we have to manage. I would call this a shift of the curves. If I have to think of one term, the term is shift of the curves. Now let me, as a result, I would like to present this case that the coronavirus has really created a huge global tornado. It's a very serious tornado, much serious than what the current political leaders or business leaders are talking about. And in the process, I think we will see that our approach has been a bit myopic. It is hitting the limit of how much we could, how much we could enable in improving the condition. In the process, as you could see, most probably if we continue with the myopic approach, the problem could become serious because our effectiveness would be significantly lower. So the basic argument that I want to make is that we need a fundamentally new approach, which is significantly holistic. We have to look at the conditions of the people. We have to understand the economic, short-term, long-term impact of the COVID-19, and obviously how the healthcare system would respond across the world. So we have to literally tackle three big problems at the same time with a global coordinated effort. At the same time, be very, very local. The way the problem would be solved in Mexico City would be different from the way the problem would be solved in New York City. So we have to be extremely surgical, high resolution approach. At the same time, we have to ensure that we are leveraging the global knowledge and we are globally coordinated to solve this very, very difficult problem. So as a result, this is the framework I'm proposing. And this is a very important framework I'll spend some time to explain to you. On one side, we have to ensure that the economic policies, be it fiscal and monetary measures, between communities, between state and nation specific, we could literally operate in such a fashion the impact is very positive, which is that this is where we want to be. On the other side, the response of the healthcare system in each of the countries is also positive. So only way we could come out of the problem is if we can coordinate between these two vectors so that we could indeed create new economic business models which will help on one side solving the problem, on the other side creating new economic opportunities. So if we could come up with this harmonization between these two vectors, there's a possibility that we could create a world which is on one side full of opportunities. At the same time, we get rid of some of the ills which has created the COVID-19. Ying, would you like to summarize a little bit?
好，对，这个就是Partha Dr. Ghosh 提出来的一个解决办法，就是卫生医疗手段和经济手段必须相结合，只有这两者一起结合的时候，才有可能建立新的经济模式，为世界带来新的机遇。那我个人感觉，在美国一直有一个观点，就是说，到底是保经济还是保健康？甚至说治愈手段是比，就是说居家令这些治愈手段是比疾病本身还要糟糕的。那我个人感觉这种观念是有失偏颇的，这个不是2选1的一个问题，是卫生医疗手段和经济手段都必须相结合的问题。只有这两者都达到高度的协调，国家才有真正的可能走上复苏的道路。这个也是Ghosh 博士一直提的一个想法。Dr. Ghosh, back to you.
Thank you. So, sorry. So as a result, when you look at these two axes, people are talking about what would be the nature of the outcome. So obviously, the outcome would be extremely positive if we enable a global response of the healthcare system, which is more on the right side, that we have come up with a vaccine. The testing is very quick. We're following all the guidelines the healthcare system is offering, both from the WHO as well as the national level. And on the other side, the government responses is targeted, smart, and timely. So if we are in this quadrant, we could expect some form of V-shaped recovery. What is the angle of the V? We do not know. It could be very sharp. It could be a bit tempered, but we could only expect if both the responses, the economic, and by economic, I really mean both microeconomic as well as macroeconomic. On the other side, if we remain in this quadrant where we are today, I think, it would be a series of L's. We'll go up, come down, go up and come down. And in the process, we may not be able to see much of the effect that we would really like to see over the next 6 to 12 months. So what I'm proposing that we need a strategic approach, macroeconomic policies, not just fiscal measures, but strategic guidance. We have to develop an approach which is strategically alert, which can think of the post-COVID-19 world, what it might look like, which would be different. And in the process, define policies, define strategic actions, both at the microeconomic level and the macroeconomic level, which is on one side solve the problem, on the other side create a new economic paradigm, which means a healthcare system to fight and avoid virus, not only just fight the current virus, but how to avoid future virus. Help creation of new industries, because as we are solving this problem, obviously there's need for more masks, more ventilators, more development of new molecules. So how do we develop new industries, which on one side creates the solutions, on the other side we could practice social distancing, provide incentive to transform and create new industries toward minimize contacts, so that as we create new industries, we could create new employment opportunities. And fundamentally then, how do we also do social re-engineering to shape new behaviors and preferences? Ying, maybe you want to explain this one.
对，这一章是一个非常重要的讨论因为一直有在说，就是说疫情之后恢复曲线到底是怎么样的。Ghosh 博士觉得恢复曲线最终还是取决于经济和医疗手段结合的如何。在这个上面有个2×2的一个矩阵，横轴的话是卫生医疗手段的力度，然后纵轴的话是经济手段的力度。那如果光有医疗手段没有经济手段的话，恢复曲线有可能是 L 型的一个，光有L 型的话，就是说两者都没有，然后就会一直低迷。那如果光只有经济手段但没有卫生医疗手段跟上去的话，就有可能变成一个 W 型，就是说经济一开放，但是疫情一加重，所以还是会 反反复复巅峰往下，先巅峰再往下，先巅峰再往下，永远不能到达原有的高度。只有当这两者结合的时候，我们才有可能看到说有一个 V 字形的恢复程度。V 字形的恢复程度就是说在一开始也就是大家看到的非常严峻的往下掉的时候，通过两个手段的结合迅速的恢复。那最后这个恢复程度到底是很缓慢的一个 U 字形还是 V 字形，或者说这个 V 字形的角度有多大，最终还是取决于这两个手段能够如何结合。那从战略的角度来说，Ghosh博士说必须要有一个战略的眼光去看这个宏观微观的手段相结合，帮助新的行业进行发展，那同时也帮助现有的行业去适应新的这个疫情之后的一些行为和模式，比如说行业如何能够适应在有社交距离的情况下保证正常输送自己的内容给客户。Partha.
Thank you. So that leads to the next part of the discussion, that how would the new behaviors will get formed? What would the new preferences? As a result, how do we create the new industries that we were discussing a bit earlier? So if you really look at it very carefully, on one side, we definitely expect, as we are dealing with COVID-19, there will be new attitude, new policies. As a result, there will be new ways people will be eating, drinking, buying products, the way people work, like remote working, the whole education system, the entertainment system, everything will undergo fundamental change. Now, maybe we will think that this is temporary, but in the process, whether it takes 2 years or whether it takes 5 years, to deal with the COVID-19 problem, obviously new types of behaviors will get shaped. Maybe working from home will become part of the culture, work culture. Maybe education on Zoom or any form of distant learning would become increasingly more important. Maybe entertainment would be such where people would not go to concerts where they'll come together, they will be watching concerts from their iPhone, from their laptops, on their TV. So as you could see, we are indeed in a very interesting space where new types of economic opportunities could emerge. And that's what I think we have to understand. Now, to do so, this is what I would call the strategic triangle that we have to manage in a strategic way, in a very well-coordinated way with a global perspective. One is obviously we are talking about re-engineering of social behaviors, then containing the virus itself, which is the response of the healthcare system, and the reconstruction of the global economy. So mark my word, I'm not talking about reconstruction of the local economy, or the national economy, reconstruction of the global economy, re-engineering of social behaviors, which would be extremely local, and containing the virus, which would be both local and global. So it is a blend of what we want to manage local, what we want to manage global, of these three fundamental pillars would determine how we come out of the COVID-19. So when we're talking about the re-engineering of social behaviors, obviously we're talking about, as we discussed earlier, social distancing, remote learning and working. On the other side, people are losing their confidence in institutions. With the people are perhaps spending significantly more time on cleaner and self-reflective lifestyle. And on the other side, the digital divide is becoming very, very clear, because people who are educated, they can work from home because they work typically on knowledge. But people who are in the front line, people who are doing the real work, for them to work from home is difficult. And that's where the 70% of the global population resides, who are doing physical work And physical work you cannot do remotely because you are directly fighting either cleaning a road or cleaning a toilet or serving food on the road. And this is where the real challenges would need to be tackled. So when you look at these three angles and then ask the question, how do we manage the transition? And now I'm talking about pure microeconomics, that some industries, maybe we could do more and better of the same. If we look at a company like Zoom, Huawei, the communication company, the Lenovo's of the world, the Apple, they have to even work faster and better because these are the tools people are using to solve the problem. But then there are other industries where either we have to change the process as to how we deliver value, or we have to fundamentally transform the scope of the economic industry. So there are four types of measures, the strategic measures that companies have to take depending upon where they're located. If they're located in this quadrant, it will be rescoping the value proposition. Like some of the food and beverage industries could very well be here. How do I rescope the products? Some of them where we have to do both rescoping as well as change the business process. And some could be just re-engineering, like if you look at the supply chain, how to make the supply chain significantly more agile, significantly more local and global. It would need to be re-engineered, but the same materials would flow, and some others would fall into this category. Now, English. So I'm talking about four types of industry. I'm calling type A. Type A are the industries which will fall in this category, which are accelerators where we have to do more and better of the same. Type B, we have to rescope the value proposition itself. We have to think differently. Type C would be this group of industry which we re-engineer. And type D, we have to imagine the new possibility or reimagine, depending upon which industries we are talking about. Now, if we plot the different industries, as you would see that some of them, the ones in yellow, these are the ones which I'm calling accelerators. We need more of IT support, more of communication service, more of logistics. Like right now we are using Zoom or WeChat. So these are the industries which fall into this type A category. And as you know, that these companies are doing extremely well. The others one which are in green, which I'm calling essentials. And as you could see, the essentials either are in the type C mode, which we have to re-engineer, or some of them like law enforcement would become increasingly more important so that people follow the guidelines that government is laying out in name of COVID-19. They have to be fundamentally transformed. And then there are few industries which are in pink, like personal services, hospitality, like hotels, real estate, entertainment services. We have to really rethink that how we have to develop these industries, which is fundamentally different from what it is today. Ying, you want to describe it?
Sure, thank you, Partha. 在这个战略棋盘上，Ghosh 博士他描述了四种不同的行业类型。A 类型属于他所说的加速器。那加速器的这些行业，他们本身不需要改变太多，但他们可以加速整个经济还有其他行业的一些转型。比如说我们现在正在用的 Zoom 或者 WeChat 这种信息物流行业，他们本身所经营的范围和他们本身的一些行业流程不需要改变，但他们需要更加快速的发展。因为他们的发展也可以决定了其他行业的发展速度。那 B 类型行业它是需要重新定义业务范围，例如个人执法和个人服务和执法行业。那 C 类型行业，比如说很多食品和饮料行业都有可能在 C 行业里面找到。 需要重新设计流程例如消费品啦、医疗啦、教育啦，所要向消费者输送的东西或者内容是差不多的，教育还是教育，医疗还是医疗，但它的行业的流程设计可能就会不一样。比如说我们现在教育可以通过网上，医疗也可以通过网上，就是高度电子化。那 D 类型行业可能就是要求重新的设计整个行业，例如酒店、娱乐，因为现在大家在疫情之后可能很少再会去重新参加音乐会啊什么或者说去住酒店的时候内心可能感觉不安全，所以这些行业都需要设计新的内容还有新的方式，以适应新的行为变化。Dr. Ghosh?
Yeah. Okay, so basically we are talking about a bunch of industries which are here, where we have to do more and better of the same. Then there's a group which belongs here, either transformed. And then there's a group which needs to be fundamentally transformed, both in terms of whether we change the business process or the basic concept of the value proposition. So when you look at the stock market today, and in fact, it proves the point, the companies which have done very well in the last 3-4 months, if we look at Microsoft, Zooplus, HealthWise, Amazon, Netflix, they have done better. Whereas if you look at the companies which needs to be transformed, has not done well. And this is how they stack up. If you look at the degree of digitization and the essentials, these are the industries which have done extremely well, the companies. But the ones which are green, they are essentials. So obviously they need to be transformed. As you know, the way people are changing, dealing with the food and beverage industry is changing. People are becoming increasingly more dependent on digitization, creating new experience, which you'll be hearing from Ying a bit later on. But the key point here is that we have to be extremely surgical in our approach when we are dealing with companies which fall into this category versus the ones which are in this category, as opposed to taking a blanket approach. So this is how I see it. It's a very simple chart, but keep in mind the type A industries, which includes artificial intelligence, augmented reality, bioinformatics, social media, IT services, all of them would enjoy tremendous growth because they are acting as the real tools which will help us to deal with the current crisis. And in the process, some of the promise of these industries, which perhaps would have been realized in the next 3 years, would get realized in the next 6 months. So that's why I'm calling them the accelerators. And we have to train and employ people accordingly. This is where the major jobs will be created. But people have to be trained to play the accelerator role and in the process create the employment opportunities. Then there's type B and C, which is the ones which are either top left-hand corner or the bottom right-hand corner. They need to be adapted to the future. Many of them are essentials like education, entertainment, health, care, wellness, and retailing services, which have to be adapted. I call these industries the adapters. And then the third class of industries, which needs fundamental transformation: hospitality, restaurant, travel, public transportation, which all includes high-touch services to manage the physical distancing, ensuring that we could control the spread of the virus. There, I think we have to think of alternatives, or transform them fundamentally, that the industries could move forward, but in a fundamentally different fashion. So as you could see, there would be 3 types of A's: accelerators, adapters, and alternators. And that would define much of the future possibilities at the microeconomic level. I will not get into the details of this, but clearly these are the technologies which would define how we create, on one side, the new economy, except they will get significantly accelerated On the other side, how do we solve the current problem of COVID-19? And as you would suspect right now, all these technologies are at work: automation and robotization, artificial intelligence, cloud technologies, Internet of Things, next generation genomics, advanced material, distributed energy. Each one of them, which we were expecting would develop in the next 5 years, perhaps would develop in the next 12 months. And that's the positive side of this unfortunate event that we're dealing with in the name of COVID-19. These are some quick ones. As you could see, the robots, number of robots used is increasing very rapidly. And I suspect it would increase very rapidly, both in the manufacturing sector as well as in the service sector. So when we're talking about social distancing, I was talking to one of my clients, maybe between two workers, there'll be one robot in between. So you can maintain the distance of 6 or 8 foot, but in between a robot is working. Similarly, in the restaurants, in the hospitality industries, you would see a significant rise of robots. In fact, China, as you know, is one of the countries where the number of robots installed is one of the highest in the world, followed by Japan, then US, Korea, etc. But the robot population would clearly increase to deal with the virus, as well as making some of the current processes renewed, and in the process maintain the productivity growth that we all expect. Similarly, the world of virtual reality would grow very rapidly. We have seen very rapid growth, but when it comes to the gym world, when it comes to the hospital world, we would see significantly more use of virtual reality. And not only in these two areas, in multiple areas, you would see the virtual reality would drive much of the future economic activities of the world. Similarly, we'll see the rise of autonomous vehicles, particularly management of supply chain, management of movement of people, and in the process, the contactless world would emerge, which would be significantly more safer, as well as perhaps significantly more resilient and agile. So here again, solving 2-3 vectors of the problem in multiple ways. And then in the process, you will see the wellness sector, the hospitality sector, the education sector, they all will go under a major change. Particularly as you could see, education, we cannot imagine to have a meeting like this only about 2 years ago. So the university education conferences would take new forms, new shapes. We have to learn how to communicate differently. But clearly, a new world is emerging, and we have to get prepared to how to literally reorient our products, our value proposition to serve the new world. And if you think from that angle, it is a great opportunity, because in times of change, if we are innovative, we could create tremendous opportunities. And much of the work that we are doing for our clients right now across the world is focused on how do we innovate, how do we create new concepts, new experiences, new ecosystems, and in the process, deal with the COVID-19 with a positive mindset, solve the problem, create the new world, and in the process, bring to play new technologies. Ying, would you like to say anything, Ying?
I thought we're a little bit tight on time.
Okay, so let me move on. So in the process, as you could see, there will be two sides we have to manage innovatively. One, we have to understand, because of COVID-19, what are the social needs? It could be healthcare related, employment creation related, new social behaviors, and we can break it up into multiple components. And on the other side, how do we deploy new technologies, whether it's artificial intelligence or new types of sensors and sensing? But the key is being able to develop the innovative links between the left-hand side and the right-hand side. And I suspect in the next couple of years, you would see a lot of different types of new products, new services would emerge across all industries using this particular framework in mind. What would be the new social needs? What might be the new technologies, and how do we connect the two sides to innovate new products? And that would require our ability to make uncommon connections, interoperable connections, where connections which were not obvious, we have to make those connections and in the process create new ecosystem. Is your mic not slide? Okay, let's move on to the next chart. Yeah. So now I will talk about, to able to deal with these opportunities and the challenges, we have to think of some fundamental changes, how companies are managed. If you look at the last 100 years, much of the companies were managed with the command and control structure and hierarchical structure, which was okay during the time of low uncertainty and when the industries worked within very clearly defined boundaries. But today the world has moved away. The world is here. But unfortunately, most of the companies in the world, I would say 99.9% of the world, are still working in a hierarchical mode. Now, my hope is that COVID-19 would help us to innovate new organizational models which could address a world which is significantly more uncertain and create opportunities in a world which is significantly more fuzzy, where the definition of industries are continuously changing because of the changes of the ecosystem. So as a result, what I'm going to propose is a biological model, which is like a DNA, as opposed to a hierarchical model. And let me try to sort of describe some of the differences. In this model, what we are practicing even today, the focus is discipline and efficiency. Focus is hierarchy of decisions, command and control, and functional excellence. And this was good, as I mentioned, when the world is certain, when the boundaries are well defined. But in the new world which is emerging, and particularly advanced by COVID-19, we need organizations which could make very quick adaptation, intelligence, agile, and resilient. We need organizations which can self-organize itself. We need organization where the excellence is not necessarily on function, but on experimental excellence. We can continuously experiment and come up with holistic solution. So these are the two fundamental departures from the way the world used to be and where the world has to be able to engage with the major opportunities which are emerging. Ying, would you quickly like to explain this?
好，这个是Ghosh 博士这几年一直在提的一个想法，就是说过去100年，大部分的企业都是以一种从上到下复制粘贴模式进行组织自己的活动，就是说左下长。那这样的形式在不确定性非常低且经济活动范围非常明确的时候，它是有很高的效率的。比如说最早的可以追溯到泰勒的科学管理模型等等。那在如今这个社会，特别是在后疫情社会，在不确定性非常高，且未来的经济活动范围不太明确的时候，这样子的系统，它的敏捷性、它的适应性就会有一定的弱点。那在这样的情况下，Ghosh博士他提出的一个想法就是，企业组织必须要有一定的生物性。那接下来他会解释这个什么样的组织才算是拥有生物性的。Partha, next.
Yeah, but I'm not controlling it. So as a result, this is the concept of the future organization. We'll not spend too much time because this is something I could spend perhaps 5 hours discussing. But clearly, in the new organizational models that companies have to develop, there'll be 5 different types of functions which has to become active. I'm quickly going to list them. Sensing function, which is your ability to sense weak signals before they become strong. Have a distributed leadership function where small micro enterprises, you could see the leadership, self-organization, organization capabilities. We have to have an activist function, people within the organization which can kill the momentums of the past, because often you will see in many companies, people hold on to the past because that's comfortable. Then we need integration function who can collect many dots, and then we need the adaptive function. So that leads to the final section of our discussion. Ying, can you move forward?
I can explain a little bit part of this chart. 这张上面就是 Ghosh 博士提到的生物性组织它拥有的5个特点。最重要的其中一个特点之一呢，就是感知功能。就像大自然的动物，它有感知危险的本能。一个组织也需要有能力能够感知到最弱的市场信息和预警。那一个组织是否具有高度的这种嗅觉和感知能力，将会影响到它未来是否能够成功。第二点就是分布式的领导能力。第三点是抗体能力，就像人体有抗体一样，公司也需要有抗体。那这个抗体对抗的呢，就是比如说内部有一种顽固的力量去抗拒创新和改变，这个时候组织就非常需要有强大的抗体去消化这种力量。抗体越强，组织的创新能力也就越高。还有2点就是整合能力和适应能力。这些都决定了一个组织能够多快从捕捉到最弱的市场信息到最后完成进化。Dr. Ghosh.
Yeah. So that brings to the last point. As I mentioned right at the beginning, we are in a defining moment in history. And if you look through the development of industries over time, the steam engine created the Industrial Revolution, electricity created the second industrial revolution, then the miniaturization and convergence engine created the world of IT, laptops, social media. And now we are right here where multiple technologies are coming together, which would need, a symbiosis of multiple disciplines and mindsets. So the big question in my mind that the steam engine led to the European Renaissance. The electricity with Thomas Edison led to the rise of the United States. The electronics industry, as we developed, led to the rise of East Asia. Now, as we move forward, could this new world that we are entering, and as we deal with COVID-19, could we create a world which is a significantly better balance of the 3 E's? By the 3 E's, I mean ecology, ethics, and equity, the gap between rich and poor. And I feel this is the opportunity I see each one of us, both at the individual level, at the corporate level, as well as the national level we have. But you have to have a global perspective to deal with the 3 E's. Again, E's being equity, ecology, climate change, and the third E is ethics, the trust in institutions. That how do we engage with each other? The trust level, the degree of trust that we have for each other is significantly increased. And that is unfortunately a bit tempered today, and we have to work on that. Okay. So that leads almost to the last part of my presentation, but this is another exhibit which I could spend 5 hours, but let me spend the 5 seconds. That as you could see, to be able to deal with the new world, or to be able to create the new world, there will be 5 types of inflection points that you have to deal with. One is we have to move from a world which is typically transactional and has been global in nature. That's how the global supply chain have developed. But it was not a lot of negotiation between companies which are the providers and companies which are the buyers, at the cost of often poorer segments of the world populations were exploited, to developing a world which is significantly more collaborative and global, that is both global and yet empathetic to the local environment. Second, most of the value proposition has been consumption-centric, and it has been through reduction of cost, we have encouraged consumption, as opposed to being conservation-centric, and focus should be significantly more on value, as opposed to just cost. In the past, most of the work, as we mentioned earlier, was hierarchical or discrete silo initiatives. In the future, it had to be network and agile. The supply chain, and when people talk about global supply chain, it was always optimized. But as we learned from the COVID-19, that we need the optimization of not supply chain, but of redundancies, which means we have to keep some buffers. We have to have some redundancy. The question is, how much redundancy should we have and how do we optimize redundancy? It's a fundamentally new concept. No one is talking about it, but we have to think about it, because when we talked about the ventilators, when we talked about the masks, when we talked about medicines, we quickly realized that the supply chain is too tight, and one failure could disrupt the entire global population. And the final one that most of the companies have operated and works, which is hierarchical, office-centric. Now with COVID-19, maybe remote working will become part of life. That how do we adjust the organization? And instead of being hierarchical, we have to become significantly more entrepreneurial. And finally, so I think, as I mentioned earlier, as we started, we are in a defining moment in history, and we have to think of innovation, globalization, leadership with a new perspective. But clearly, we need a new curriculum for the world, and that's why I've used the word curriculum, that we need to all get educated how to deal with globalization 4.0, how to develop new leadership qualities, and how to maintain the momentum and increase the momentum of innovation so that indeed we could deal with the COVID-19 with a strategic response, not just solving the COVID-19 problem, but being strategic about it and in the process making a difference. So with that, I'd like to thank you very much. I'm sorry the slides were not moving as sharply as I wanted to, but I truly enjoyed talking to you about a problem which is very significant in nature. With that, I would like to pass on the discussion to something which will be more interesting for you, to my esteemed colleague, Ying. She will talk about everything that we have discussed, but in a much more elegant way, how that applies to China. And I think at least the slides would move much more smoothly. With that, back to Ying.
Thank you so much, Partha, for that elegant speech you had. I'm a little bit ashamed to start my part after what a great speech you have given. So going forward, I'll be speaking in Chinese, and unfortunately, you'll have to stay and listen.
I understand.
Thank you so much, Partha. 那感谢博士的演讲。那下面因为时间也不多了，所以我很快的把焦点从全球转到我们中国。大家最关心的一个问题就是疫情是否会触发中国发展的下一个时代。那今天主要想和大家围绕几个主题展开讨论。第一，消费者行为的根本变化对于企业创新意味着什么？那在这块我们可能会特别提到食品与饮料行业的一些创新。第二，中国企业应该如何应对全球的经济倒退？以及第三，国内企业应该如何应对外部有一些破坏性的地缘政治经济的转变？首先最重要的一点就是，虽然疫情还在世界上大部分国家在蔓延，但由于中国对疫情的处理非常快速果断，国内现在已经先于大部分国家走上了恢复的道路。那住在国内的大家可能比我们还要感同身受，但从这3-4组我们在4月初采集的数据就可以看到，正常的社会及经济秩序都在逐步的恢复。下面这张图呢，展示了不同时期中国生产力水平提升的变化状况。50到70年代，大家都知道农业水平快速提高。那从80年代初到目前为止，制造业也是取得了辉煌的成就。正是由于这两个生产力水平的提高，才有了今天13亿人民人均国民收入可以达到1万美元。这对于一个 像中国这么大的国家来说是一个非常了不起的成就。那自2000年起，中国仍在持续提高高精尖领域的科研投入，比如说人工智能、高端制造产业、可再生能源等等创新领域，展现了从创造性经济到创新型经济的雏形。那在疫情之后，想必对这方面创新技术的关注会进一步提升。我们的愿望是，当然希望在疫情之后能够看到中国的转型可以加速。那讲到创新的话，食品与饮料公司在疫情之后，需要关注5项消费者行为的大趋势。那我也有点不好意思讲这些趋势，因为我知道在座的各位都是行业的领先人物和权威但是呢，我们可以从最近疫情的角度和我们最近在国内外工作的经验中看到几个例子，摘出来和大家讨论一下。第一个是在保持社交距离的情况下满足消费者的社交欲望。第二个是帮助消费者拥抱新的节俭消费意识。第三是从消费主义转向对精神心灵领域的一个探求。第四就是传统文化的复兴。第5就是健康与保健。那首先从社交开始，大家也知道很多饮料和食品的产品都是有较高的社交性能，然后依附于很多社交场合。那在疫情之后呢，社交场景也出现了很大的变化。我们在国内和国外与很多食品饮料客户讨论的就是如何开始探索建立新的场景，社交场景。我拿酒饮做个例子吧。酒饮的话，一般来说之前很关注的一块场景就是夜生活，包括酒吧、KTV 舞厅等等。但是在疫情特别是居家令之后，对于夜生活的关注不再仅限于这些场景。很多企业都开始对消费者整个夜晚的作息开始探索。因为从广义角度来讲，夜生活不一定是要去这些场合才算是夜生活，只要在晚上的时间都可以算。那随之而来的就是有一些大家比如说最近很热的大家也都知道的云喝酒和游戏社交的一些新场景的增加。那如何通过对渠道以及产品的调整，使企业能在这些新场景中建立优势，是我们目前正在探索的一些话题。第二，新节俭消费。在疫情冲击之后，想必消费者的理财和消费观念呢会进一步理性化。在居家令这段时间，大家可能也都感知到，就是有很多在居家令这段时间没有买过的产品，可能都是非必需产品。那在很多机构对疫情后消费意愿的调查也可以感知到，这样新的消费习惯可预见性的可能会持续一段时间。所以目前很多公司都在探索怎么样才能调整产品组合，通过开发一些 B 线或者购买其他小公司的方式，扩大对中低端价格的产品的投入。在这个同时呢，也调整定价和促销策略。那当然在国内做得很好的，我们经常用举例的，比如说名创优品、拼多多。那国外最大的，比如说在美国最大的在这一块做得比较好的就是各大超市的自有品牌，比如说 Costco、Kellogg， 他们都有一些价格比较低但是质量也比较好的一些自主品牌，比如说 Kirkland 就属于 Costco。那在定价方面呢，特别需要关注在疫情之后消费者他的价格弹性的变化，捕捉微型消费群体的敏感性差异。因为以往经验来说，在对未来经济情景不太明确的情况下，消费者对价格的敏感度在这段时间一般会比较直接的上升。我们之前对08年、09年在美国次贷危机的那段时间也对消费者做过很多调查，就是说在这段时间消费者对于价格的感知力和敏感度明显比平时会有一定的提高。比如说原先的定价$1.99的产品， 和2.49美元的产品，它的差距可能不是特别明显，但在疫情之后，消费者对于这样的价格差距，然后他的选择都会跟以往的行为方式和决策模式不太一样。所以在提价或者是降价的时候，对这些价格敏感性的变化需要特别注意。在这里我给大家举一个我们关于定价优化方面的一个例子。这是来自一个零售行业的客户。那当时给我们的课题是需要优化门店之间的差距。比如说大家都广义的知道，一个门店它开在机场里，或者它开在商场里，或者它开在居民区，它客户的就是他所接受的客源对价格的敏感性是不同的。那到底是有多不同？定价是应该差1块钱、差2块钱、差5毛钱才能捕捉到最大的客户呢？这一类的问题可能都没有一个明确的解决方法。当时，那我们团队是建立了一个地理空间模型，通过对各个地理空间因子的计算。比如说门店周围的人口结构、门店周围的竞争情况、门店周围的一些兴趣点，以此来推导门店价格弹性。总而言之呢，通过这样子模型的优化呢，可以更加具有清晰度的观察到消费者的喜好，方便对人群进行细分，优化价格策略。下面一个话题是我个人比较喜欢的一个话题，就是说消费者对于精神和心灵领域的探索。那在疫情之前，也有很多关于这一方面的探索，比如说这几年非常热的一些断舍离的一些概念，怎么样恢复自然的简单的生活方式。相信在这疫情之后，大家肯定会对这方面的对精神上的关注会更加提升。比如说关注现代社会与人类与自然的关系，例如说这次疫情一开始出来是说怀疑是在蝙蝠身上传过来的病毒，那自然而然就会让大家去思考，就是在人类经济发展的过程中，对大自然还有野生动物的生存环境带来什么样的影响。还有就是消费主义对于精神健康和环境的影响等等。那对于企业来说，我们一直跟客户说的是，公司从产品和服务的角度来说，应该越来越强调它的在对客户的心理精神的关怀，还有对生态的关怀。例如我们右边选择的几个在美国现在新的几个饮品产品，他们都是主打关注精神健康。比如说第一个 calm， 然后就是精神放松；第二个是 mind and body， 就是也是精神加身体，就是说不是在单纯的关注一种身体上的愉悦感，而是关注一种身体和心灵上的健康。那食品饮料上面有很多这样的例子，很多美妆服装都有很多类似的这种开始向内心关注消费者内心的健康的一些产品服务出现。第4个就是健康与保健，这个我真的不太好意思讲，因为我知道FBIF 在这方面也做过很多专题，然后在座各位也有很多这方面的权威。但我们总结了一下这几年在这个健康赛道看到的比较热的点。第一个少即是多，少糖、少油、少盐，这个大家都知道。但是这个少能不能用一些比较创新的模式去体现呢？还是一个比较有值得探讨的。比如说我们在右上角有一个之前在法国看到的一个案例，它是一个酸奶的案例，它是主打健康减糖的酸奶。那它的减糖的方式呢比较特别，它是给差不多1个星期的酸奶量，但它可以先减 5% 的糖，再减 10% 的糖，再减 20% 的糖，到最后一罐是减掉 50% 的糖，循序渐进。那当然消费者可以选择，比如说星期一对自己比较狠一点，我先减 50% 的糖， 在中间压力比较大了，我慢慢加糖，然后到周末可能想放松一下，那就只减5%的糖。总之这种比较新型的，一个是可以让客户明确的感知到他在变得越来越健康，糖分变得越来越低，又是可以给消费者一个缓冲阶段，让他能够适应这个无糖的口感，这种模式是比较值得推荐的。那接下来几个比如说人造肉，这个在国内最近也是非常火热，所以我也不多加赘述。那最新的数据显示，目前这个人造肉市场在中国已经超过了美国的在美国市场的体量，所以前景我们相信特别是在中国应该是非常光明的。那在疫情之后，我们在美国也有观察到很多就是说对提高免疫力的一些饮品和食品，它的销量在往上增。第4点，在国内就是说运用一些国内本土的原材料，这种使用会越来越广泛，比如说枸杞、红枣、红糖。当然在国内本土企业一直都有在探索这方面的创新，那现在越来越多的外企也会在这方面做出探索。那第5点关于健康，就是关注睡眠健康，比如说添加一些色氨酸褪黑素等等，然后能够帮助就是失眠人群更好的有睡眠。因为这方面的创新呢，我们也是觉得是未来前景是比较巨大的，因为有很多国内外的研究都有表明，就是说大部分人群都有睡眠问题，所以这方面的消费者激情应该是比较高的。那最后一个趋势就是传统文化的复兴，这个也是我个人非常喜欢的一个趋势。当然不是说我是专家，只是单纯出于对中国传统文化的一种热爱。大家也都看到这些年不管是外企或者国企都是在对这个领域有着很大的兴趣，然后消费者本身的热情也很高，经常可以看到一些品牌联名几秒钟几分钟就售罄，或者排队几个小时。那完全从个人角度来说呢，这一类的产品我觉得还是这些尝试还是处于比较初级的阶段。其中有很多原因，当然中国经济的高速发展也就这几十年的事情，所以可能还要一些时间去沉淀。还有一个就是中国文化中国传统大家都知道非常庞大非常精深，能够真正领悟中国的美学中国的精神，然后又能很好的结合产品本身的特点，又能适应现代人的审美和消费习惯，这样的案例可能不太多见。很多时候企业走的都是捷径，比如说直接把文化中的一些元素搬到产品上，比如说一些京剧脸谱生肖水墨画等等元素。那这样的产品没有通过一个很好的文化和产品的融合呢，这样的产品它不容易具备灵魂，因此复购率也不会特别高。那当然希望随着经济的不停发展，审美水平的不断提高，这个行业的专家一定能够推出更加吸引人的产品，真正的讲好中国故事。好，关于大趋势的消费大趋势的问题就讲到这里。那除了在应对消费者的新需求以外，国内企业需要面对的还有外部环境的变化。虽然中国的内需大家也都知道非常巨大，但是出口贸易还是目前占据了大概20%的国民生产总值。未来中国需要发展还是需要出口贸易以及技术输入。那中国目前几个最大的贸易伙伴，例如美国、欧盟、日本，他们本土的经济都将受到疫情的巨大冲击，特别是美国。这也为国内企业以后的发展提供了很多不确定性。那同时在 这个情况下，地缘政治也进一步的紧张。我们觉得中国与世界其他各国之间的善意和信任都在经受着考验。这种考验，从我们的角度来说，有可能是觉得不公平的。例如说，有很多企业在这次疫情中意识到了对中国的依赖，然后现在很多国家会提出说要对全球供应链去中国化。大家都看到，日本比如说日本政府提出要拨款22亿美金，帮助日本的制造商从中国搬出。那到底能不能搬成功？到底最后他们去中国化能去的怎么样？去不去得了？这个我们不讨论，但至少就是说，在国家层面已经有很多很多这样的讨论。第二点呢，就是大家都知道的，这几年一直在讨论的关税啦、贸易等，最近华为的事件大家也看到了。那第三点就是说，媒体引导甚至民间的一些比较激烈的反中国的情绪，这个我相信国内大家都有看过报道，那我们住在美国的华人确实也是有亲身感知到这个变化，当然是令人觉得非常难过，也非常担忧的。难过的是，觉得中国受到的待遇不公平；担忧的是，就是说作为华人，我们在国外生存的空间会受到进一步的挤压。那这三点呢，对中国企业和政府都是相当大的一个考验。那当然，国内现在也有各种不同的声音，我们不敢妄论国事，但从企业的角度来讲，特别是中国企业想要进一步探索全球化进程，我们觉得有4点建议。一个是从外部视觉，重新定义企业的价值主张；第二个，以最坦诚的方式为世界提供中国经验。当然很多这次疫情中国也有向外输出经验，但很多时候这种输出都会被误认为是有一种有一种政治，也不是政治阴谋吧，就有一种政治因素在里面，而看起来不太那么纯粹。那还有个第三个，就是说特别是在国外运营的一些国内企业，需要深入了解并理解其他国家和市场的政治和经济的一些优先级，然后尊重文化差异和政治限制。那未来总的来说需要思考全新的战略协同模式。之前在工业经济的大背景下，很多国内企业通过高效率的成本控制也获得了很大的竞争优势。但目前就是说，像Ghosh 博士也说了，未来全新的经济模式充满了不确定性。国内企业现在需要考虑要怎么样迎合一系列新的游戏规则，以确保我们的企业能在新的经济体系下获得成功。那在控制成本、优化成本之外，应当在知识、技术、品牌包括了声誉和品牌信任度、营销网络，比如说全球化生态体系、顾客关系，尤其是针对 B2B 的客户等各个方面都取得突破，这样子才可以建立差异化竞争壁垒。Partha, Dr. Ghosh, I was referring to the Pentagon model in your white paper to discuss the next phase of corporate strategies for Chinese corporates. I was wondering if you have anything to add on this particular topic.
No, I think maybe I'm on mute. Okay. Am I on? I'm still on mute.
No, you're fine.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I think firstly, Ying, thank you very much. I think you did a marvelous job to the extent I could understand, but it was very good. I think one thing to keep in mind as far as this model is concerned, China is going through a major evolution, which no other country has experienced in the last 100 years. Now, in such an evolution model, the music that has to be created between these 5 elements would continuously change. And that's the point I would like to emphasize. For example, in the last 20 years, much of it was delta cost advantage. Maybe to a certain extent it was delta reach advantage. But now Chinese companies are becoming more sophisticated. So the differentiation has to be based on a mix of all these 5 deltas. Sometimes it's premium, sometimes it's intimacy, particularly when Ying was talking about spiritual connection with customers, how to develop that experience where your customer and your company really become part of the same ecosystem. Sometimes it's about how do I continuously keep a technology-led advantage. So the key is how to play this instrument, the 5 instruments, at the same time. Sometimes the cello would be louder and the cello could be the delta R. Sometimes the drum could be louder, which is delta C. But the key is being able to manage the symphony for different target customer segments. And I think that's where much of the challenge of companies all over the world, and particularly for Chinese companies, because China is changing very rapidly. So to change the music very rapidly. So that would be my point.
Thank you, Partha. That was a very good romanticization of this. Ghosh 博士说，就是说这5个不同的竞争优势，比如说成本优势、知识技术优势，把它想象成5个不同的乐器。那这个5个不同乐器为企业可以演奏出来的音乐，会随着时代还有消费者的需求不停的变化。可能有时候大提琴，比如说是价格优势、成本优势，它可能需要声音大一点；有时候可能是其中的中提琴、小提琴，比如说顾客关系或者营销网络，它可能会需要变得更加重要。所以中国企业会需要不停的摸索，怎么样才能通过这5个不同的优势为客户做出最美妙的、最合适的音乐。那由于时间也不多了，我们的演讲就到这里差不多结束了。Mia， 我知道观众朋友们都有发一些问题，那鉴于时间的关系，你介不介意就是和我们分享问题，然后我们可以通过邮件的形式为大家解答呢？ Mia？
当然没问题。对，由于时间的问题，我们将在就是大家的问题Ying这边回复过之后给我会在社群分享给大家。
好，非常感谢大家，不好意思占用了大家今天1个半小时的时间，希望刚才的讨论对大家都有一些启发和
非常深刻的分享。
非常希望听到大家的问题然后我们继续讨论，继续交流。Dr. Ghosh, I believe we'll end the session here and we will be taking questions through emails through Mia.
Yeah.
Would you like to say something to the audience before we leave?
Yes, I would like to first quickly thank everyone for the kind attention. I think we spend this time, I would say, in honor of the new world that we want to create. It is a great time to think of some of the fundamental points that global society is faced with. I've got one question for Mia. I received 3 questions. On, do you want me to answer them?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Okay, the first question was, Dr. Ghosh, would you kindly share the names of any companies you have successfully adopted the biological model? The 2 points are, in our profession, we keep the name of the companies confidential. So I think it would not be right for me to mention, but I'll tell you what, This biological model is very, very new. I've been talking about it for last about 5 to 7 years. I've tried it in part of a research and development company of oil and gas, and it is working very well. So I have tried in about 3 or 4 companies, and it is difficult because people are so much used to hierarchical model. To switch from hierarchy to biological needs effort. But wherever it is working more than normal, they have seen a tremendous benefit. Now, good news is there's a company in China called Haier. Haier's chairman, Dr. Zhang, believes in a model which is very similar. He looks at Haier as a collection of 4,000 micro enterprises, which is similar, not there as yet, but similar to what we call biological model. So this is at a very early stage. Companies are thinking about it, but it is hard because people, as you know, are victims of our past behaviors. But that's where management consultants come and help. Sometimes we work with companies for 3-4 years to make that transition. Ying, would you quickly translate that?
Sure. 首先 Partha 博士说就是说在我们这个行业一般是不太能够公开客户的信息的，这个是我们行业的一个道德准则。那这个生物型模型其实是一个非常新的概念。Ghosh 博士在过去的5到7年都有一直在跟企业还有客户讨论这个概念。大概第一次实验是在7年前跟一个石油行业的客户进行一个探索。那一般对很多企业来说要做这样的一个转型是非常困难的，因为大家也知道大部分企业都是习惯于从上到下的一种管理模式，要突然转化成一种生物型的管理模式，智慧型的管理模式不是一件非常容易的事情。他觉得大概有在他过去的5到7年的经验中，大概有3到4个公司已经可以在慢慢的探索使用这个模型了。那特别有意思的是，我们最近在和中国国内的一个企业叫海尔集团，大家也都知道。那海尔集团的首席张瑞明首席，他对于企业管理的一个想法其实跟Ghosh博士是非常接近的，因为我不知道大家有没有听说过，就是海尔的一个叫做人单合一的一个模型，一个管理模式，就是说海尔集团不是一种从上而下的组织，而是由3000个、4000个不同的小微组织来进行管理的。然后每一个员工他的价值都是体现在他能为客户创造的价值，所以这样子的一种就是以人为本生物型的一种管理模式，其实跟Ghosh博士所提出来的这种生物型模式相当接近的。Dr. Ghosh?
Yeah, and there's another question which is the third one. I'm answering the 3 questions, but our second and first one are similar. Dr. Ghosh, how well do you think President Trump has followed your academic advocation, local, as expounded in this lecture in how the US should have tackled the COVID-19 crisis? If you ask me how well, I would say very poorly. That's a short answer. I think Donald Trump, he believes in making America great again, which was a good statement. Every country's head should make their countries great. So that is a very nice statement. But how to, and what does it mean? I think he did not do enough homework. This would be, unfortunately, he did not do the homework right. I think as a president of a country, whether it's a rich country or a poor country, socialistic or capitalistic, it is very important today to have a global perspective. He has not demonstrated that. It is also very important to be humble He has not demonstrated that. It is also very important to be continuously able to embrace many new ideas and come up with a new concept. He has not embraced that. So I think that's what I think many American people are worried about. Though he's the president of the country, but most of the Americans have difficulty understanding Mr. Trump. And let's see how it unfolds. But I don't think the world should get upset with America or get upset with the White House, because it is a 4-year term. So there will be always a new leader. My hope is that American spirit of innovation would help the world, and in the process, the world could become a better place to live. That would be my answer to that. Ying.
好，谢谢。Ghosh 博士就是谈到特朗普对这次疫情的应对，他说简短的说，是非常不好的。就是特朗普提出的，就是说美国优先这个口号，是可以的，因为他毕竟是这个国家的总统，他想要为这个国家创造财富、创造机会，这个是可以理解的。但具体要如何怎么做，是把这场美国优先的这场这个过程认为是一个零和的一个游戏，还是说非零和的游戏，他没有做得很好，没有一个全球化的视角，没有一个谦虚的态度，因此很多美国人其实也都是非常紧张，他们也不太能理解自己的总统。当然他也有一部分非常支持他的选民。那Ghosh博士说希望就是说特别是在中国的大家就是不要因此对美国产生太大的偏见，因为特朗普他个人的行为并不完全代表美国所有人的意志。希望美国的就是创新精神能够继续为全人类造福，然后我们拭目以待，因为美国的总统毕竟是4年一次的任期，我们拭目以待今年11月份会发生什么。好，那米娅时间确实有点晚了，非常不好意思拖到现在，大家也时间很晚。
Thanks for Ying and Dr. Ghosh. And as the audience said, this is a very insightful presentation. And thanks again.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mia.
Thank you.
同时非常感谢今天晚上跟我们一起观看直播的所有人、所有伙伴，非常感谢。那我们今天的PPT 呢，我们的 slide 莹也专门为我们整理了一部分非常重要的内容，整理成了中文，在我们公众号后台可以回复 Foodtalks 来获取今天晚上的 slide。然后另外呢，如果说有想要加入我们微信讨论群的，也可以扫码我们直播间的二维码 Evelyn 的二维码，可以加入我们的微信群。对，那我们今天的直播呢就到此结束，再次感谢大家。And thanks Ying and Dr. Ghosh again. I think that's it today.
谢谢
Thank you.
感谢米娅，感谢各位观众，谢谢。
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.